Video recommendation. There is an AFL TV interview with former British heavyweight contender Richard Towers, which I'd like you to go have a look at if you haven't watched it already. He talks about his time and his experience being in training camp with Wladimir Klitschko, helping Klitschko prepare for the Tyson Fury fight. Says a lot of interesting things. Now, this is not the first time that I've heard Towers talk about being in the Klitschko camp, but he goes into more detail this time around. The first time I heard him talk about being in the Klitschko camp was a couple of years ago. I think it was while he was in the Klitschko camp or shortly afterwards. And at the time, he said that Klitschko approached him one day while he was in the camp and said that you have given me, you and another fighter, I'm not sure if it was Deontay Wilder or somebody else. He said, you and this other fighter have given me the best sparring I've ever had in my career. And Richard Towers said he felt emotional when Wladimir told him that. He was shocked and he was amazed that such a great fighter would actually give him such high praise. So he came away from that training camp with his head held high. Now, in this particular interview, which was conducted in the past few weeks, he goes into more detail about what happened in that training camp. He says that he pulled out every trick that he'd ever been taught by Brendan Ingle in the Winker Bank gym there in Sheffield. And Brendan Ingle fighters are known for being awkward, unorthodox, so on and so forth, with Kell Brook maybe being one of the exceptions. He said he pulled out all the tricks. Sparring Wladimir Klitschko made it very awkward. He said he hurt Wladimir Klitschko a couple of times. And he said that the trainers who were there representing Klitschko said to Richard Towers, could you stand a bit more upright? Basically telling him, can you make yourself more hittable? Because according to Richard Towers, Wladimir just could not hit him and he was getting to Wladimir. So Richard Towers said, no, I'm not going to stand more upright. I'm not going to make myself more hittable and get chinned by Wladimir Klitschko. I'm not going to do that for nobody. So when he refused to do that and he just continued doing what he was doing and giving Wladimir problems, they stopped using him for sparring. They let him stay in the camp, continued paying him, and again he explains why in the video, but they didn't use him for sparring anymore. He says, or at least suggests, that that was a mistake on Wladimir Klitschko's behalf, because it was exactly the kind of sparring he needed to prepare himself for Tyson Fury, who was going to do exactly the same. Make it very awkward, pull out all the tricks in the book. And Richard Towers, I believe, is 6'8", so he's only an inch shorter than Tyson Fury. So his height, his reach, and all that kind of stuff, very similar to Fury. And as I say, he claims he was as awkward as possible. Wladimir couldn't get to him, so they thought, you know what, no, we need somebody Wladimir can get to. Interesting. Some people are going to instantly dismiss this as BS. I see no reason at all to think that Richard Towers was lying here. I see no reason at all. I've watched Richard Towers in interviews. I've watched many of his fights over the years, and he don't strike me as someone insincere. On top of that, the reason that people are going to find it hard to believe, a lot of people, is because Richard Towers didn't have that much success as a boxer. I'm not sure if he's retired now or if he's still active, but he didn't have that much success. So people are going to say there's no way that somebody at that level can go in the ring against Wladimir Klitschko in sparring and get the better of him. Impossible. I think it's very possible, because I've been around in boxing and following the sport of boxing for several decades, and I've heard all kinds of things that happen in sparring. Unheralded fighters giving extremely good fighters all they can handle. It happens a lot, and you'd be surprised. You talk to any experienced professional, they'll tell you that this and that fighter, who you might class as a journeyman or whatever, actually got the better of one of the top guys in sparring. It happens. I remember there was a rumor, I don't know if it's true, but there was a rumor that Garing Lane, who was a journeyman, a fat, fat heavyweight journeyman, about 6 foot tall, very fat. There was a rumor that he had flattened Lennox Lewis in sparring in the lead up to Lewis's fight with Oliver McCall. He actually fought on the undercard of Lennox Lewis against Oliver McCall. I think he fought Corey Sanders on the undercard. Long time ago now. That was back in, what was it, 90 something. 95, was it? 93? 93, when did Lewis fight McCall? Must have been 95. Long time ago now. But, yeah, Gary Lane apparently, that was the rumor that he'd flatten Lewis in sparring. These things happen. Trust me, these things happen. Styles really do make fights. So, have a watch of the interview for yourselves. Let me know what you think. And again, it's interesting that certain fighters don't want that work in sparring. They want to get the better of everything. They don't want their sparring partners making it awkward for them and showing them up. There was also a rumor about Wladimir Klitschko having a lot of issues with Alexander Usyk in sparring. And that he cleared everybody out. Nobody was allowed to watch after, a few rounds because Usyk was really making it awkward for him and making it very, very tough for him in there. So he was like, I don't want people watching this. Okay, these kind of things do happen. Anyway, have a look at the interview. Let me know what you think. Drop your comments in the comment section below. It's happening. I'm out.